Welcome back now. Our Ladies Hospice has been serving Harold's Cross since 1879, providing end-of-life as well as other types of care to generations of patients. Their new book, The Mixing Bowl, Second Helping, is bringing back some of the wisdom of the previous generations with recipes passed down to members of the hospice's community, as well as raising much-needed funds for services.
With us to talk about his recipe and where it came from is Jim Fox, patient at Our Lady's Community Reablement Unit, and we're told baking supremo, as well as occupational therapist Aoife McCormack. Good morning to you both.
Morning, guys. Morning.
And thank you for joining us. Jim, we're going to get the details of this precious recipe in a moment, but Aoife, you were telling me outside Our Lady's Hospice, which so many viewers will be familiar with, the wonderful work that you do there. It's broken up into 3 different departments, I suppose?
Yeah, there's 3 different areas in the hospice. So there's the care of the older person, palliative care and rheumatology. So this project came from a majority of people from the care of the older persons, which is 2 separate units, the residential setting and the community reablement unit, which Jim was in.
It's such a clever idea though, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because
it really is. It was a lovely project.
I'd say it was a gorgeous project to work on and sit down and chat with the patients about.
Yeah, it really was, and it's something that's really unique about the recipe book is that it not only has the recipes, but it also has the stories behind the recipes.
Beautiful.
And the nostalgia that goes with them, I suppose.
Yeah.
Jim, Our Lady's Hospice, very important in your life because of the reablement unit. Explain that to us.
The Community Reablement Unit, I think the unit was opened about 2003. And it was opened on the basis of some doctors, when they were doing internship, I think particularly Dennis Donoghue, they noticed in America and particularly in England as well, a different type of care rather than shoving people off into nursing homes and that type of thing, independent living. They started looking at and reablement. So it's about re-enabling people to live independently in their own homes and to be able to cater for themselves. And
so it must be very special for you then, Jim, to be able to give something back in terms of the recipes for the book.
Big time.
And
I had no difficulty in saying, hands up, I'll help.
And in your case, which is gorgeous, I think, you provided a couple of recipes, but of course, these are your mother's recipes.
Correct.
And these all come from Jim's mother's original recipes from 1930. Which your family have collated and typed up, and everybody in the family has a copy of this.
Yes.
And so the 2 recipes, tell us about the 2 recipes that you have in the book.
Well, the recipes came about because I had the book and I gave the choice to the team to slot in the recipes that they wanted. So, I mean, the 2 recipes, a cherry cake and a fig pudding, and I suppose the fig pudding is a little bit different because it's unusual to a thing called a fig pudding, but that's on page 86, and it's just interesting. I think they're both interesting. You see, my mother was an only child, and she was, to enable her in her life, she was sent to a domestic economy school for a year after she finished national school, so which I think they finished that time at 15 or 16, they had to go to school. And she went in Dundrum and Tipperary. It was a residential place, and she spent a year there. And while she was there, she jotted down. She actually did a songbook as well of all the local ballads at the time. Just wrote them out, handwritten. And fortunately, they weren't destroyed or thrown out with any house movement. And one of my sisters decided to type the things up, so she typed them up and gave us all copies of them. So
and they're there for generations.
Well, we can pass them on, yeah, of course. And then when this came up in Crewe, and they were looking for recipes and things like that. So I said, look, I don't have to do anything. All I have to do is get the book.
Yeah, and the content is here. Liver and bacon, Madeira cake, even a jam sandwich.
A jam sambo. Can't beat it. I love one of the best chefs in the country, one of the nicest people in the business too, Nevin Maguire. He has a gorgeous quote in the front of the book. You can see it there. It says, a beautiful collection of firm family favourites that every home should have in its kitchen. And I think that's so true, because even just flicking through it here, they're all family favourites, aren't they?
They are. And the good thing about them is that they've been passed from generation to generation. So most of the recipes have stood the test of time. So it just shows the types of recipes that are in it.
Well, you know, they always say the proof of the pudding's in the eating, Jim.
It's true.
And I see some empty plates and a knife in front of us.
Good
so
idea.
If you want to carry on...
There's only one decent thing to do, Simon, isn't there?
Okay.
Be careful now.
Not to.
This fellow will take inspiration from this book from the 1930s. You never know where this might reappear. Were you surprised by some of the recipes, Aoife? Or
I
had you
was.
heard of some of them?
No, there was many recipes in it that I hadn't heard of before, and it was lovely to actually get to talk to the people about where they came from and who they made them with, or a lot of them had shared them with their family and had lovely stories about them. And
Yeah.
even one man in particular I brought down to, as part of the therapy, we baked the cake that he had put in, and it had actually been sent over to Italy, and it was lovely just to get to know him a bit more, and it was really, really
I suppose
really
food
nice.
is one of the things that not only brings people together, but
Yeah.
it can evoke such instant memories. It just
Yeah.
takes you back, and I'm sure you know that only too well, Jim.
I do, and the good thing about these type of books is that if you go into your local supermarket or delicatessen shops nowadays, you find so much stuff. But in that time, what they had was very limited.
Yeah.
They had no condiments or they had no spices, you know, they're minimal. So they had to make do, and they used every bit of the animal, they used every bit of the vegetable. They had no refrigeration or heating to preserve the food.
Yes.
Like, I mean, bacon was preserved by using salt, brine to preserve the bacon. Everything else was maybe
And there was
stored
no
in
such
a
thing
pit.
as waste, Jim. Nothing was thrown out.
That's true.
I mean, if you cook,
so
if you were lucky enough
economical.
to have a chicken, you cooked it. You used the chicken bones to make your stock.
Yes, and soup and broth.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm going to try this.
What's it like? Have you
Well, I'm gonna-
had a little
let's look
sneaky
in.
try?
As you've seen, I cut 4 slices for
So
myself.
this is your recipe for
Cherry cake.
Cherry
cherry
cake.
cake.
And it was very simple, you know, it was very simple design. I mean, as Aoife said, it stands the test of time. It could be made in 1929-30. And
Doesn't matter,
it
that's
can be
never
made
going to
in
go out of fashion.
2029-30 as well.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Now, Aoife, you're under a bit of pressure with the targets because the first book was the mixing bowl, and that sold. It raised over 95,000 for Our Lady's Hospice. So you obviously want to beat that.
that is the aim, hopefully. That the first book was a huge success, and really for us, the actual process of doing it was so enjoyable, and everybody who did it gave such good feedback. That was really the reason why we decided to go ahead with the second book, which is called The Mixing Bowl Second Helpings.
I've no doubt it'll be a huge success. It's a gorgeous book.
Have a
Beautiful.
slice.
And that's gorgeous cake, Jim. It does stand the test of time. Thank you for coming in and joining
Thanks very
us.
much.
Our pleasure.
It's been very good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.